It's weird. You have to get their permission and everything.
Oh, I think I just started recording. You did.
You did, yes. I can see it in the top.
Oh, great. Okay, we're just going to wait a few minutes to see if anyone else joins. How's your day been?
It's been good. It's been busy. Yeah, job.
It's good. This is the last class for me today, and then just circle later and a lot of homework. So
there you go.
Yeah.
That is the name of the game.
Mm-hmm.
But at least the weather is nice.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful. And tomorrow too.
Yes, I'm excited about it.
Well, I guess we can get started.
Should have brought some glasses.
I know it's hard to see. So we're going to introduce ourselves. So hello, my name is Sydney.
Oh, hi, my name is Hector.
And my name is Lindsey.
And the three of us are in the ASL 4 class. And today we are going to teach you all about fall signs and also about deaf culture. So we have a presentation that we're going to start off with. And I'm going to screen share. If I can figure out how to do that. Oh, there it is. That's fine.
Also, hey, Hector and Lindsay, I'm Sarah. I know Sydney, but I don't know the two of you, so I wanted to do that quick introduction. But it's nice to meet both of you. Thanks so much for hosting this. This is awesome.
Thank you for coming.
Our pleasure. It was so much fun.
Awesome.
So I'm going to...
You're good. I'm pulling it up on my phone too.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so first we would like to kick it off with Sarah. If you would be able to whip out your phone. It's like the opposite of Sarah's games right now. And text Sydney Stodder 624 to 37607 and just let us know how much exposure you've had to deaf culture or someone who's deaf or ASL in general. And yeah. The answers would usually be anonymous, but sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm making sure that I texted the right number because, you know, sometimes that's hard. Here, I'll do it online. My phone is being slow. So sorry.
Stretched.
Okay, now I'm in. No one worry.
Working?
Yes.
There we go.
It's me.
Thank you so much for your answer. It's a good thing that you are here with us in this presentation. We're happy to have you. There we go. So do you want to?
So what is deaf culture? Deaf culture describes social beliefs, behaviors, art, literary traditions, history, values, and shared institutions of communities that are affected by deafness, which use sign language as the main means of communication.
So one important thing that many hearing people actually are confused by is that deaf people can do everything that hearing people can do except hear. So deaf people actually like listening to music, they feel the beat. They are very good drivers, and this little comic strip, I guess you would call it, really shows that they're not distracted by cell phones or people yelling in the back seat or honking or anything like that. So they are very good drivers, and they play sports and everything else that hearing people can do. And going along with deaf culture, deaf people have their own culture, museums, community schools, and traditions. And a lot of deaf people take pride in being part of the deaf community, and they don't see it as something that has to be fixed or something that they don't like. So once they find that sense of community, they really enjoy being part of a deaf community and deaf culture.
So what term is socially acceptable? There's much more to someone's identity than whether they can hear or not. The most acceptable terms to use are deaf or person/people with hearing loss, instead of hearing impaired or hearing disabled. Disability does not define a person. Let's use person first language. The capital D in the word deaf refers to the culture, while a lowercase d refers to the ability to hear or not.
Some good information, because that was something that I kind of was confused about when I first was exposed to sign language.
And something that I also learned when I started taking these classes, as well as the audiology classes, that being deaf is a spectrum. So some people are completely deaf, while others are hard of hearing, some wear hearing aids, and others may have a cochlear implant. Some deaf people can read lips and speak, while others solely use ASL. Being deaf does not make someone inferior, just as being hearing does not make people smarter or superior. It is not a totem pole. So there's many different aspects in hearing levels and abilities. It's not just like whether you're deaf or not.
And there was a word that we learned.
Deaf elitism.
Deaf elitism, and that's people who, there's a whole spectrum of people who have had a lot of exposure to a deaf community growing up in sign language, and parents who have signed with them and accepted their deafness, versus people who were forced into a school with English and with interpreters and didn't have that exposure. Then there's also a term that we learned, was
Oh, autism.
autism.
Autism is essentially the concept that, like, being hearing, that you're better than someone that is deaf. And we live in an autist society, which is things are geared towards people that are hearing, and things are rarely accommodating to those who are deaf or hard of hearing.
So that's where we're trying to break down the kind of societal belief that we are better just because we can hear, which is not true. So it's not a totem pole.
The voices of the deaf. Interpreters are essential for the deaf because they bridge the gap in communication. Interpreters are used in medical, law, education, and political settings, just to name a few. So can you imagine how awful it is when somebody impersonates or pretends to be a certified interpreter? They're stripping away a deaf community's rights to access to communication.
Yeah, so this is something that's really disheartening, and we do have a video of this happening, and immediately people were tuning in saying something is wrong, we can't understand.
This weekend, get to Kohl's.
Do I have to, Sarah, are you able to see this?
Yeah, I can see it and hear it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Take an extra 15% off. Get sweaters for the family, 21-24 and under. Boots for the family, $33.99 and under. And save on the Ninja cookware set, $299.99. Plus, get Kohl's Cash. Plus, free store pickup. Let the gifting start. Shop Kohl's and Kohl's.com.
This is an amazing thing. As I'm sure you know, there was a big memorial service for the great Nelson Mandela yesterday in South Africa. Many prominent leaders from around the world, including President Obama, showed up to pay tribute. And as is often the case with a big event, they had a sign language interpreter on hand to translate for the hearing impaired. And the only problem was the movements the guy who was translating was making with his hands made no sense. Even if you don't know sign language, if you watch this, you can tell he only has like 3 or 4 moves that he repeats over and over here. Okay, that's it. That's him. And you see, he looks like a backup dancer for a singer we cannot see or hear. Almost immediately, viewers who actually do know sign language started calling him out online, and then video popped up today of the guy interpreting or doing whatever it was he was doing at other events too. So he has done this before. Now, I would love to know what this guy's story is. I mean, was this a prank? Is he a scam artist? Is he just very, very bad at his job? So we brought in a real sign language interpreter. Justin, where's Justin? Justin, come on in here. This is Justin. Hi, Justin. How long have you been a sign language interpreter?
About 5 years.
5 years. And you've done this for us at some of our concerts outside.
Yeah, Hanson were here. I did it for Hanson.
Oh, yeah. Does Hanson have an inordinate number of hearing impaired fans?
Just one.
Just one. Oh. And is that a compliment for a band?
Yes, actually, it is.
No, it is not. All right, so let's watch this guy and tell us what he seems to be signing, if anything at all, okay?
Sure.
All right, I'll be quiet. Roll it.
I support basic salutations here, salutations. Inside, joining in this week's cigarette, inside to prove, and on, to support, I would please to say, from me to you. Talking to you so far.
Is he even attempting to make sense?
It's complete gibberish.
And, okay, all right, well, we have one more.
Hello, welcome so far. Well, cigarette join. Bringing in different to you. A circle. And I would like to pray this offering. Basically, this is fun. All of these balls to prove this is good. I'm sorry.
Listen to his sorry. So in your opinion, does this guy know sign language at all?
No, not at all.
Well, on the bright side, he could have a promising career as a first base coach.
Maybe so.
Well, thank you very much, Justin.
you.
I appreciate that. Justin Maurer.
So this just doesn't happen in, it really can happen in many settings. So especially if someone is not an actual certified interpreter. We were actually just learning about the prison system and how if they don't have interpreters, that can really impact how long someone stays in jail, just because there's a complete lack of understanding between hearing and deaf people. And a lot of times a hearing person is the one who hires an interpreter for an event. And so if someone comes to them and says, I know sign language, they don't really ask any more questions. So it's important that as hearing people, we can advocate for the deaf and make sure that they're getting the access to communication that we have.
So where do I sign? There are kind of two different zones in general in signing. So this square that you see, the white rectangle around it is your general signing space. But the majority of the signing that you do stays within the yellow circle right in his chest. So the signing space is this imaginary rectangle. So the yellow circle is where most of it occurs.
Is there more than just moving my hands? Eye contact and other nonverbal signals like head nods, eyebrows raising, lip movement, and making sure that everything is a lot more emotionally expressed than you normally do. Add context to signs and show interest in the conversation. Facial expressions can change the meanings of signs as well.
It also shows the person that you're interested, which we said in the conversation. So a lot of people are confused with how would I get someone's attention if they're deaf. It's actually totally appropriate to tap someone on the shoulder, just, very lightly, but letting them know that you're there. Or if they're facing towards you, you can just flap your hand at them or wave towards them, and that will get their attention. So although maybe in our hearing society, just flapping your hand in front of someone doesn't seem completely like great etiquette, but it's completely okay in deaf culture.
So how can we be more inclusive, especially with everything going on with COVID-19 and everyone wearing masks? It's been a lot harder for the deaf communities, for those who can read lips and often rely on reading lips. So people have been making and investing in making these masks that have kind of a window where you can still see someone's mouth and their lips, which has made it a lot easier for deaf communities to still be able to communicate with those that especially don't use sign language. So if they do rely more on reading someone's lips, these masks have made it a lot easier and a lot more accessible, because the deaf community was having a really difficult time when the mask mandate kind of first began communicating and understanding others around them.
Mm-hmm. Our professor, who was deaf, she was even telling us that she went to the dentist and she couldn't understand what the hygienist was telling her. And so then pulling down the mask is also not a great option, because then it's exposing you to germs. So it goes even past, being able to see someone's lips or facial expressions. So
I think too, it's hard because, I mean, they're not readily available like a normal face shield where you could have like a box of them essentially to like give out without it being a huge personal expense. Mm-hmm. Not like it's a resource that a lot of folks have, like the dentist, that would just be like, oh, here you go, you can be more inclusive. They're pretty expensive, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, lastly, we wanted to have a fresh, subtle reminder of what being deaf looks like, essentially. Deaf individuals are normal, everyday people. A deaf person can do anything a hearing person can do except hear. Always remember to be kind and respectful.
And the person shown here is someone named Niall DeMarco, who is deaf. He was born deaf. And he went to Gallaudet University, which is a deaf university in Washington, D.C. And now he actually has a show that he's producing on Netflix, which is going to be a reality TV show about Gallaudet University. So that's interesting. But he's deaf, and so he has done a lot for the deaf community and has done a lot of instructional videos. And a lot of people really look up to him as a role model.
He's also a model in general.
Yeah.
And an actor.
Yeah.
So now we're going to transition into actually teaching you some fall-related signs. So if you have a sign that you would really like to learn, then feel free to let us know, and then we can get started.
Would you like for me to put them all in the same, or do you need to do them individually?
You mean like individual responses?
Words, yeah.
I think it should take more than one, so you can do that.
Okay. These are very, very general. So I would also love to learn words that you all know and would like to share, because I, again, know little to nothing. So
We got you. Those are great, though.
Yeah.
Great. So I'm going to stop sharing. And we have a story to incorporate the words with. So as we read, we will teach the signs that we come across. This is the next one. Can you see it?
Yeah. Well,
Great question.
There you go.
So, hello everyone. Thank you for being here to learn some ASL fall signs.
So that's our first word for you, is fall. And you can put one arm up and you push down on your elbow. So I kind of think like you're pushing down a pile of leaves.
Yeah.
So fall, perfect.
Yeah. October in Boone is one of the best times of year.
So to sign October, you finger spell, so you're spelling the letters of the word, and you can abbreviate it, so it would just be O. So you could use your right hand because you're righty. C, T. Yep. O-C. October.
It's one of the best times of year. If you've ever been here, you know why. The weather begins to change and it gets cold, so you might need to grab a hat.
So cold, kind of like your word chilly. You put, sorry, you can sit down. You put your arms next to you and you kind of shiver them a
There
little
you
bit.
go. Like a good old bird. And then hat, next one. Hat's a funny one because like it really depends on what kind of hat you're wearing. So if you're wearing like a baseball hat, then it's kind of like a kind of tip of the hat essentially. But there's other kinds of hats that you can wear too, like a top hat. That's the one where it's like, yeah, where you kind of get a little bit more fancy.
A lot of times people will do the sign for hat and then specify if it's a toboggan, we'll spell it out or something like that.
Yeah.
Can we review before we go any further? Sorry. I'm getting it. Okay. So we've got fall.
Fall.
Okay. And then October. You can see.
Yeah.
Okay. Hat.
Yep.
Top hat. Like if you're cold or chilly.
Yep.
Okay. I think that's all so far.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Looks perfect. Everyone pulls out their sweaters and boots from the closet and heads to the parkway.
So sweater, you're making the letter S with your hand, so your thumb is out.
Just like this, yeah, up in front, yep.
And it's almost like you're putting on a sweater. So you just take your two hands and you kind of rub it down your shoulders.
A lot of the clothing signs are kind of just like acting out putting them on, which is nice, and little things that
Exactly, that's like jacket.
yeah, to specify, like jeans you do a J and stuff
J,
like that, so it's like an S, but you're putting it on, so that's what you specify that's a sweater, which is kind of nice because it's very visual. So it's
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, using the first letter to indicate the type of clothing to kind of be a little different. That's smart.
And it's not too much different than boots too. So boots, well, for shoes, it's just like that.
The letter S.
But for boots, you're gonna take a B, just like that, and do the same motion. There you go. And then you can specify if your boots are all the way up here or down there and everything. Oop. One second.
Oh, I can read the next sentence right there.
Okay.
The leaves start to change and the mountains are beautiful. So leaves.
Yeah. So you take one finger and you put your pointer finger up, and the other one you do a 5-hand, and you can kind of sway it to show leaves falling.
There you go.
Nice. Okay. I'm feeling good about that one.
Good.
So this would be just leaf by itself. And then this is the action of the leaf falling?
Yeah.
Of leaves falling? Okay.
It's a blanket of yellow, orange, red, and green trees. So here, here we're gonna learn my favorite colors. So this is yellow. You're gonna take a Y motion, and kind of like a cowabunga sign. Orange, if you're gonna take an O, and that's at your chin, right?
It's like in front of your mouth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is actually the same sign for the fruit as well.
Yeah.
Like orange is the color and the fruit sign is like kind of an O squeezing in front of your mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's see, red.
Red, you take your pointer finger and you kind of touch your lip because your lips are red, and you just kind of flick it off of your face.
Mm-hmm.
And then green, it's again with the initializing it, so the letter G, like this, and you just give it a little shake. And so what's cool about colors, if it's like, if something's neon green, you could be like,
Yeah.
it's really green. So you can kind of use your facial expressions to indicate how green something is.
We've got yellow.
You know?
We've got orange. Red.
Yeah.
Red.
And then, hold on, green. So it doesn't touch. It's not touching.
Nope.
It's just like a
Face.
on the page.
And then you just kind of shake it off. Yeah, okay.
Let's see. On the way back, you may stop at Starbucks for a PSL, a pumpkin spice latte. Okay, so the sign for Starbucks, that one's this.
Yeah.
So you take your middle fingers, and you kind of flick them together. And there are some brands like Starbucks and like Walmart and stuff that have their own signs where you don't have to finger spell it all the way out. Like you wouldn't have to spell STARBUCK because they're so popular that they've come up with their own signs. And then for pumpkin spice latte, we can abbreviate it to PSL. So you do P, just kind of like two fingers with your thumb in between, but down. And then S is the fist. And then L is just what you think it would be as an L. So,
Should we do one for trees?
Yeah.
oh, trees. For the green trees.
Mm-hmm. So the sign for tree is making a tree with your hand. So if you want to show there's a lot of trees, you can show a lot of trees, or a tree growing. So it's basically making a picture with your arms.
Yeah.
And then does it go, do you sign in the order that you would say it to? So it would be like green tree or a red tree versus tree red, or is it kind of interchangeable?
It's interchangeable in that sense. There's certain things, like if you're asking a WH question, like what, why, when, those go at the end. So there's certain rules depending on the situation, but someone would understand if you did green tree or tree green, so.
Thanks.
Boone has so many different places to hike and camp that it's hard to choose. So if we're going to break that one down, we can do hike, which is...
You're kind of scaling a mountain with your hands. And so these are your feet, and you just show you're hiking.
Yep.
And then camping, you make the rock on sign, and you make a tent. And so
Kind of like,
camping.
yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
But once you do, nothing is better than sitting around the campfire looking at the moon. Ooh. And the stars at night. There we go.
So campfire, you can show camp, tent, and then the sign for fire,
Let's get, yeah.
fire. Kind of like the flames coming up. Compound word here.
And then
Looking
moon.
at the moon. So this one, you kind of make a crescent with your hand, and you bring it from your face up into the sky. The moon.
Okay, would you do the opposite if like the sun was rising versus it being the moon? Like would it just alternate being on your face in a different position?
Actually, no, but that would be cool.
Yeah, good question.
Yeah, the sign for sun, you just make a little circle.
Oh, okay.
Like when you're a kid, you make little rays on it, you do sun.
Okay. Wow.
And just to throw one in there, if you wanted to know stars too, it's just like...
Yeah, you take your 2 pointer fingers and you just...
Oh, so it's like when I'm dancing.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what you're telling me.
Yeah.
I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah, do you want to read this?
Yeah, we can review like the last couple ones we did because I know we just did a lot. So we can go back to leaves or leaf. This one's falling, and then yellow is just your Y. And orange is putting out. Red with your pointer finger. And something fun is pink is just the P on your lip. So the way that red is like on your lip, pink is like the P shape. Yeah, like that. That's on your lip. I always think about like lipstick, like either red or pink lipstick. I can do that. And then green is just the G shaken, and then trees. Multiple. And then Starbucks.
I have a mug with this symbol on it from
Oh,
when
really?
I went to the
Oh, that's
Starbucks.
cool.
It was really cool.
And then abbreviation for pumpkin spice latte. So P, S, L. And then hiking. And then climbing up an mountain. Camp is kind of like just your little tent. Campfire. So camp and then last one to review is moon. So your crescent straight to the sky.
Perfect.
This time of year, Boone is filled with pumpkins, apple cider, and Halloween decorations. So pumpkin, you make like a fist and then you kind of flick it with your middle finger and your thumb. That's pumpkin. And then sometimes people do, because this is kind of a generic, like this could mean like melon too. So sometimes people flick it and then they do like the stalk. Like the stalk that comes off the top. So, because this could sometimes mean like melon, but people flick it and then do like the stalk to represent pumpkin.
Would they also do like, and then so like orange so people would know, like pumpkin kind of thing? Okay.
Watermelon, like you do the water sign and then flick it.
Oh.
And let's see, apple cider. So apple is you kind of bend your
Make like a hook.
Yeah, and then you put it like by your mouth and kind of twist it. What kind of cider?
It could be
You
like
would,
Just like a
hot drink.
yeah, or
Yeah.
because someone would probably say apple drink, but then
Yeah.
spell out cider.
Yeah.
That's another thing you kind of specify by spelling it out afterwards. There's like a generic sign to represent that you're drinking something, and then you would spell out the cider part. And then Halloween is you just take your two hands and kind of like a mask. I feel like a Halloween mask. There you go.
Whether you'll be a witch or a ghost, be sure to grab your costume and have your candy ready because the spirit of Halloween is upon us. So the first one is witch. You can kind of think of a witch's nose. So you can make a hook and you bring it to another hook from your
Kind
nose.
of from your nose, yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Witch. Ghost. You make a fist here, almost like you're holding flowers, but then you pull up a little ghosty, so it's almost like a little
You're
spirit
like pulling a ghost out.
is coming out of your hand.
Trying to grab Genie out of the water.
Yeah, genie's coming out of there. Your costume.
Costume would be specifically for like Halloween. You could do like the sign for Halloween, and then you can say clothes. So
Halloween and then, yeah.
there you go, perfect. And candy is the next one. So candy, it's similar to apple, but this, all you're doing is taking your index finger and doing the same motion. So you're kind of, there you go.
So you could do like candy apple.
Yeah.
Like that, that would be the
Oh.
combine them too.
Okay.
You want to do candy apple. So that's our whole little story. You sort of incorporate signs. Is there any other kind of fall ones that we didn't touch on that you could think of?
No, I don't think so. That kind of incorporates all of the fall, like corn maze maybe, or corn.
What would corn? Is that one where you just finger spell?
Maybe you can look it up.
Yeah, I'm
let's
not
take a
sure.
look.
I saw it. Oh, football is one.
Oh,
Take your fingers and kind of interlock them, and it's kind of like they're like. I think it's like they're tackling each other. Like
Yeah, the people.
yeah, all the people are like. That's football.
football game.
Yeah. Football.
so this is game, but okay, like a Halloween game.
Yeah.
Great.
This is corn is like that.
Oh,
Okay,
that makes sense.
It's like you're eating
Pretty self-explanatory.
your corn kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Corn maze would probably be a pathway or a pathway. That's something where maybe you could kind of use the sign for tree, but spell stalk.
Yeah.
So they would get the gist you're in a corn maze.
Very nice. What about like scary, like some of the emotional feelings that you may get? Yeah.
Yes.
Just like that. Yeah. Like,
It's like kind of like the chili, but instead of your fist, it's just like you're throwing your hands in front of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just jumping out at you, like your hands scare yourself kind of thing.
and it's all about to like say that you're really, really scared, you want to add extra emphasis in it, or just say like you're kind of scared or something didn't really scare you, just kind of like a small little, yeah.
It's kind
Exactly.
of like the body facial expressions come in. Like you can use those to emphasize, kind of like the way that we have like adverbs in English to be like very, like you kind of use your facial expressions and body language to be like very scary. Because they don't really have like adverbs that you would sign
Or
for.
voice inflections.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Nice.
I don't think I can think of anything else.
Yeah. I think that's really good. I like the story. That was really neat. Did y'all think of that yourself?
Yeah.
Wow. Nice job. That's awesome. It is helpful, I mean, to think through versus just learning it, right? Like there being kind of this story that you get to go along with, but it's also fun and helps you remember them a little bit. So
Cool.
nicely done.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Of course. So Sydney, Hector, and Lindsey?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I wanted to make sure that I got everyone's name right, but thanks so much for hosting this and putting it on. It was awesome.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming.
Okay, how do you do awesome? I think we have to. So if you were like, would people know that was like very awesome?
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
Okay. Well, great job, y'all. This has been super fun. I appreciate it so much.
Wait, Lindsey says,
I was gonna say, do you work for App?
I do. Yeah.
I recognize you. I don't know where I recognize you from, but I definitely do recognize you.
Yes. Yeah. Y'all all look familiar, which is awesome. I'm over in alumni affairs, but I used to work in admissions. I was in admissions for a while, so that might be it.
I was about to say, I definitely recognize you from somewhere.
Yes. All right, y'all. Well, have a great rest of the day. I'm not sure